Welcome back to another episode of Summon Tesla. Ironically, the channel name actually works in this case because we are talking about Smart Summon and some of the things you guys should know about Smart Summon. This is a new format, obviously, so welcome to the new format. Today we're talking about Smart Summon, and by the way, it's Smart Summon, not Smart Summons. A lot of people put the S at the end. It's actually kind of aggravating to me. I don't know why specifically, but ever since it came out, I've had a chance to test it out and see how it works, and does it actually do the job that Tesla says that it's going to do? The short answer to that is yes. Smart Summon is a ton of fun to use, and it definitely gets a lot of reactions. You guys have seen this on many YouTube channels, how it works and what are some of the benefits of it and so forth and so on. The one thing that I found very interesting though is I think the best way to describe Smart Summon at this moment in time is it's kind of like a 5-month-old child trying to discover its world around it. And I think that's really the best description I'm going to be able to give, because that's really what it is. Even by Tesla standards, I think that's pretty much the way Tesla should or maybe wanted to actually explain this. It's still in beta, obviously. But what are some of the advantages and disadvantages? We're going to go into that in a second. And I think the beautiful part about Summon right now, especially Smart Summon, is before Smart Summon came out, you simply could move your car back and forth. That's all you could do. You moved it forward, you moved it backwards. And I found that to be very, very usable in certain areas where, there was really tight space, or more importantly, in those times when somebody parked very, very close to me, I simply could not get into my car. I simply took out my phone and brought my car forward, and it did the job. It was really, really, really cool. And then Smart Summon came out. And with Smart Summon, I put a video out about this already and just giving it a try. The one thing I found that was really, really neat is it is able to navigate. In other words, the car does get to me. How it gets to me is kind of where the issue lies here. There is a level of risk involved. It's the same as autopilot in this case. You are responsible for the car's action. The person controlling the car or giving a command to the car is always going to be responsible in this case. And when it's in a public environment, I found that, when there's a lot of cars around, in some cases it worked better than, let's say, in an empty parking lot. Now, I encourage everybody to try out any new feature, especially when it has to do with self-driving or autopilot or anything like this, in a very controlled environment. And that's really, really important for your safety, the safety of others, and more importantly, probably your vehicle and your insurance. But I've had a chance to really test out Smart Summon and see how it works and what it did, what it does. So let's talk about some of the good things first. The good things about this is I've already been involved in a situation. As I was moving here, I had to go pick up some things from a store. I had quite a few boxes of things that we bought, and it just happened to be pouring outside. And I mean pouring, guys. The wonderful thing is where I parked, I said, this is the opportunity to test it out. And that's what I did. I called my car. It pulled out of the stall, and it hesitated in a number of spots, but eventually the car did make it to me in front of the store, where I simply popped the trunk and put everything into the car. And it was great. Now, on that side, the bad thing about that was the amount of hesitation that the car had. Another car was coming. I ended up holding up that car a little bit. They weren't really sure what was going on. I don't even know if they recognized that there was no driver in the car. They just, like I said, it was pouring rain. But the car in the pouring rain scenario still got to me. And that's a big, big plus. But again, the negative side to that is it did interfere with other people. The car still doesn't know what exactly is happening. The other scenario in that I found is the car really, it has a huge problem with pillars. So if you're in an underground parking lot, for example, and you have pillars, those pillars seem to be a problem. It's not quite sure what to do. And there's a few times where I called my car over to me just while I was testing it out, and I had it, I drove it in. When it was backing out, I had to stop it really quick because as it was doing the front end swing, that front end was awfully close to that pillar. And when I say awfully close, from the time I stopped it to the time the car stopped, there was maybe about 4 inches, let's say about that much space from hitting the actual post. Now, that basically put me off of testing the stuff out anywhere where there's continuous posts. I think the biggest thing here is that we all have to recognize that Smart Summon is still in beta. It's not perfect system. It has a lot of work to be done on it. Now, one thing I think the best way to describe this is through experience. And when I'm testing this out, I'm noticing the little things. The car doesn't stay on the proper side. So it doesn't stay to the right. More often than not, what it's going to do is it's going to go either to the center or even to the left. And it literally interferes with a lot of the other cars. And through running the test, this happened, I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, where the car simply would have interfered with anybody coming its way. And although it's really intuitive and it will move out of the way, sometimes it will hesitate, stop, and block traffic. It's just that simple. So I can't say it's reliable enough to use with other cars around. And this is also the reason that in my previous video where I showed what it does, I specified, make sure you guys do this in a safe environment. Now, there is obviously going to be improvements made to this. This is no different than Autopilot when it first came out, and I've seen a massive improvement in how Autopilot acts now to the way it came out, even just a few months ago for that matter. So I'm expecting that, and I believe even Tesla announced that there will be, and Elon announced that there will be some updates coming up on this. But at the moment, my feeling on it, especially after testing it so much, my feeling on it is you really do have to be careful. You have to remember this is your car on the line. This is your insurance on the line, right? And if something was to happen to your car, you're without your car for a while. It's until it gets fixed and all that fun stuff, it's going to take some time. Ultimately, Smart Summon is quite amazing, and I've already found uses for it. I'm still very weary about where I'm going to use it, and more importantly about not just where I'm going to use it, but how I'm going to use it. I think the next update, or possibly the next 2 or 3 updates, is where we're going to see a big jump in its capabilities. At this moment in time, I think the description I gave you guys in the beginning of the video, it's like a 5-month-old child discovering its world, is pretty accurate. There is obviously usability for it, and it's a wonderful feature to have. It's not necessarily a must to have, but it's great to have. I would love to know all of you guys who've experienced using Summon. What are some of the kind of problems you've had with it, or what are your thoughts on it? Obviously, I always want to know what you guys think, but I find it very interesting that the car can do so much, and it's advancing at such a rapid pace. But I think the fact that it's advancing at such a rapid pace might also be a problem. And it's instead of fixing getting something out to a point where it works quite good, Tesla is okay with releasing stuff that works semi good. At the end of the day, Tesla is collecting data from us, and that data is what helps to improve the systems. It's what's going to help to your next updates to be that much better. But that means we have to use it, because if nobody uses it, there's no data to collect. And so it's kind of a catch-22. If we want it to get better, we have to use it. But then if we're cautious about using it, we're not using it as much, so there's less data to collect. I think it's a wonderful aspect. I think it's a great system. I still love using it. I'm just very, very wary about where I use it. And I love showing it off to people. It is great to see other people's reactions, but there's a level of risk that I'm always very much aware of. And this is no different than what I've said about autopilot, and basically Smart Summon is the same thing in this case. You have to be very cautious about how you use technology like this. You have to be aware of using it and don't lose yourself in it. Learn the system first, understand its flaws, and then you'll be fine. But currently, as it stands, as of today, Smart Summon is actually surprisingly good for what it is, but it's also surprisingly annoying to other drivers if used the wrong way. And by wrong way, I'm talking about using it in a very public manner where the car will react to every detail. I've also had a situation where my car just stopped. It hesitated to a degree where it just stopped in the middle of itself, and I couldn't reactivate it. And it got itself trapped in a way that I had to run over to the car because it was holding up, 2 or 3 cars. And my car was literally sideways. It was really, really strange. So again, keep in mind that this feature is something that you have, but most people out there don't know about it. And if you start interfering with other people, it's gonna start becoming a problem. Use it responsibly. I think right now it still needs a ton of work, and I am sticking to my what I said in the beginning of the video. At this moment in time, Smart Summon is a 5-year-old trying to discover its world. That's really what it is. I'm waiting for it to become a teenager where it's still a little moody, but it works. It's kind of the way I look at, I look at autopilot currently as a, early adult in as far as, maybe 20, 21, 22. It knows enough, but it still makes mistakes. And so it's the best way to gauge, I guess, for myself, what is happening at the moment. And so yeah, that's what I got for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. Give me your experience of what you guys have seen, heard, or experienced for yourselves, and we will go from there. Till then, drive responsibly, use autopilot responsibly, and definitely use Smart Summon responsibly. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to the next video. I got something interesting coming up. I hope you guys like the new format. It's not always going to be in the car, and this way I can just sit back and talk to you guys about the specific things without having to worry about, driving and that kind of stuff at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoy this new format. With that said, look forward to the next video. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Drive safe out there. Bye.